working with the metric system and doing conversions within the metric system is a little bit easier because everything is dealing with tens. So as we saw in our earlier video, you're basically just moving decimals, or you're multiplying or dividing by 100 or 1,000. So it's very simple, but you just have to remember which way to go. So we have a few problems up here from the book. Again, we're still in section 7.5. And number 248 is 5 kilometers is how many meters? So we need to know the unit conversion for between those two unit measurements. So 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So again, the same concept as US conversions. If you're starting with a big one and you're trying to break it down, you're going to multiply, okay? If you're starting with the small one and you're trying to make it bigger, then you're going to divide. So hopefully, it seems like it's contradictory, but that's just how it works. So 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So if we have 5 kilometers, 5 times 1,000 is going to be 5,000 meters. So basically what we did is we just took this decimal and we just moved it over 1, 2, 3. Or we just multiplied it by 1,000. So whatever makes the most sense to you, we're just going to be moving decimals one way or the other, or multiplying or dividing one with the metric conversion. So when you're multiplying, you're going to be moving the decimal to the right. And when you're dividing, you're going to be moving the decimal to the left. So that's just a little trick you might want to keep in mind. So here we're going backwards now. So we're still using the same unit conversion. 1 kilometer has 1,000 meters, or 1,000 meters equals a kilometer. But now we're starting with the smaller unit and we're trying to convert it into the bigger measurement. So if we have 3,072 meters, how many kilometers will that be? Well, on this one, we were moving our decimal which way? To the right. So now we're going to be moving it to the left. So how many kilometers? 3.072. And basically what we did with this when we moved the decimal 3 places is we divided by that 1,000. So up here we multiplied by the 1,000. Here we divided by the 1,000. So our next one is grams, so weight. So this was distance. We're going to look at weight. So if we have 91.6 grams, and we want to turn that into milligrams. So what do? Well, we need to know the unit conversion between grams and milligrams. And again, milli just means 1,000. So you can probably guess that 1 gram equals 1,000 milligrams. So we're starting with the bigger unit and we're turning it into the smaller unit, which means we're going to multiply or move our decimal 1, 2, 3 places over, and that's going to give us 91,600 milligrams. So if we were starting with milligrams, then we would divide by that 1,000 or move the decimal to the left. Let me go ahead and put these arrows up here. Okay, so our last one is liquid measure or volume. We have 750 milliliters, and we want to know how many liters that is. So we're starting with a smaller unit, and we're trying to turn it into the bigger unit. So what's the unit conversion between liters and milliliters? 1 liter equals, you guessed it, 1,000 milliliters. So 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. So if we're starting with milliliters, we're going to divide by 1,000. So we're starting with the smaller unit and we're trying to convert to the bigger. So that means we're going to take our decimal and move it to the left this time. And we're moving it 3 places because we've got 3 zeros here. So how many liters would that be? Just 0.75 liters. Now you can put the 0 in there, but dangling zeros on decimals are unnecessary to write. So any numbers that end in 0 that are on the end of your decimal, you don't really need to write. They're unnecessary. So if you want to write it, you can, but you probably won't see answers like that in the book. So again, this is just these are just a few examples of how to work within the metric system and making sure you understand how to go back and forth. So it's a little bit easier. You just got to remember which way to go with your decimals. And then we worked with milli. So you might have centa or kilo, and kilo means 1,000, but you're going up instead of breaking it down. So a kiloliter would be 1,000 liters. And then centa means that you're breaking it into 100 pieces instead of 1,000 pieces. So centimeter would, there would be 100 of those in 1 meter. Whereas a millimeter, there would be 1,000 of those in 1 meter. So sometimes you might be working with other prefixes, and those prefixes will mean a little bit different, but you're still just working with base 10. You're just moving decimals, multiplying by 100, dividing by 100, multiplying by 1,000, dividing by 1,000.